Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Speaking of you Jaskers, you're patiently waiting the TV times to drop here in a few minutes. Maybe Nebraska, Ohio State will get flexed into a 6-day announcement window. Maybe not. Maybe they'll play at 11 and everybody will be happy. Maybe they'll play at 2:30.
Oh.
And Jays fans and Skurs fans will be happy because, right, you could watch a football game and then conceivably or you could just watch it downtown and then walk over to Creighton and Purdue.
It's good. That option's good for the fans.
Good for the people, and we work for the people,
us.
Josh.
Yeah, exactly.
Not good for Josh Hudson.
Exactly. Oh,
not good for Josh
come
Hudson.
on.
So
BTN 11 a.m. Come on, let's go.
I don't think anybody wants that, right? Cody writes in on YouTube.
Hi, Cody.
Teams are now 1-5 the week after they play Nebraska. What's that mean? What's that mean?
Means we're wrecking people.
Well, Rutgers had a tough time with Wisconsin this weekend, and it has sent people into a frenzy. People are not excited about the last 6 games of Nebraska's schedule now. And then they watched what Iowa did to Washington over the weekend.
They scored 40 points.
And they watched USC, and they watched Ohio State, and probably didn't have a thought on UCLA.
Hey, they almost beat Minnesota.
But no, I don't think anybody actually watched that game. I certainly didn't. I didn't watch a second of it. Did you?
I watched the last couple minutes.
Did you big in 60 it?
No, I watched the last couple minutes of it live.
Really?
Yeah.
What was going on? Tell me what you saw.
I'm
sure it was a lot of fun.
It was weirdly close, and then Minnesota ran the ball for a couple first downs, and that was the end of UCLA's chances.
Yeah. The Bruins are 1-5 so far this year. Not very good, Josh.
Nah.
And then people also had comments on 2 teams that Nebraska has already played, Illinois and Purdue, and how Purdue can score 3 points going into halftime, look to be dead in the water, down 24-3 at halftime, and then score 46 in the second half.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
And
lose in overtime.
I can't.
That's the kind of stuff that breaks your spirit, right?
Yeah, I'm oddly excited to big in 60 this. It's not on. It's actually on right now, I think.
Maybe they'll say that maybe Purdue could say, hey, look, we're trending up. You know, we've put together some halves now.
That's how they're going to sell it.
But, tough. 1-5, 0-3 in the conference. Speaking of tough, USC looked like they had Penn State kind of dead to rights.
A lot of people tweeting out a lot of stats about Lincoln Riley's head coaching career.
But then they had that guy, Tyler Warren. Where did this guy come from?
44.
White guy, number 44, 17 catches for 224 yards. What the hell was that?
Coach, he's number 44. I don't have to guard him.
He looks like a fullback. He snapped the ball on that play where he caught the touchdown. What is going on at Penn State? And then, of course, we had Oregon and Ohio State. That was our banger of the week. What a lovely, lovely college football game it was. Did Oregon intentionally put 12 men on the field on the second to last play of the game in order to prevent a deep shot for Ohio State to maybe, take the lead and win the game? So you're on the 43-yard line. There are 10 seconds left for the Buckeyes. The Ducks added that 12th man to prevent a big play. Ohio State threw it, incomplete, took 4 seconds off the clock, and then they're on their own 38-yard line, and the following happened. Will Howard did not throw it out of bounds. He did not throw it to the sideline. He didn't get down soon enough, and Ohio State had a timeout in their back pocket and were not able to use it before time expired. And that was the game, 32-31. And Ohio State, now they do the thing that Ohio State does after every time they lose, which is look at themselves very, very deeply. Fortunately, Josh, for everyone, they have a bye next week, and then they play Nebraska. That'll be exciting for them.
Well, if you question
they're gonna be
yourself,
so pissed.
If you question yourself for long enough, you will inevitably fail. So
It is definitely a
hopefully-
bad taste to go in your mouth going into the bye. No doubt
Yeah.
about that. Maybe not as bad as in previous years where losses mattered. Now losses don't, especially if you're Ohio State. But what'd you think about how the last 10 seconds went for the Buckeyes? You were on the phone, so I couldn't get your opinions.
I told you during the crossfire, I just kept shouting with 6 seconds left as they're running another play before kicking the field goal. Like, you don't have enough time. You don't have enough time. You can't do this. You do not have time for 2 plays. Sure enough.
I mean, I was in support of what they were attempting to do. It's just that Will Howard could have gone down 2 seconds sooner. They got the timeout, and they would have been able to, even if the clock would have ran out, they could have went back and reviewed it and say, "Hey, okay, he got the timeout. That's it." And then we'll take our shot at whatever it is, probably a 50-ish yard field goal. At least you get a shot.
Yeah.
But now you're on the plane back home, and you realize that the plane is sinking. Why is the plane sinking? Because it's too heavy. That timeout weighs too much. Yeah, that timeout just weighs too much. Why is the plane not going very high into the sky? Because it can't fly because that timeout weighs too much.
Good analogy.
Not really an analogy, not even a real thing, but just a joke, I guess.
Good joke.
I didn't think it was that good of a joke. So, Will Howard, what happened, man? It's tough.
Boy.
It's a big proving point for Oregon, though. I thought they matched it physically.
Yeah.
And I think there is a twinge of, maybe Ohio State is not. When you look around college football, Josh, and nobody's impenetrable.
Yeah.
Nobody's like they can't lose. Depending on matchups or whatever, but like I don't know who the
Texas is maybe closest to that, but I don't think they're there.
They have some problems.
Yeah.
I don't know who I guess Texas is probably the best team in the country because they've shown the best so far. But I can't tell you with any sort of certainty who's going to win the national championship at this very moment.
No. And that's a lot of fun.
So I have a prediction, I guess. I do think these are our 2 best teams in the Big Ten. So these 2 teams will play for a second time in the Big Ten championship game, and then they'll play for a third time in the college football playoff. Ohio State will win the Big Ten championship game, and then the third game is up for grabs.
A trilogy.
Tough to beat a team twice, but somebody's going to have to in that specific case.
Yeah.
Then what? And there's definitely some. I see. There's definitely some slippage there for Ohio State. They're just not quite as airtight as maybe they once were. They're very talented. Nobody's gonna argue that. But just people wondered when Urban Meyer left. It's like, is it gonna just? They're gonna be really talented, but is it just gonna slip a little bit over time? I think there's a little slippage there. A little slippage.
Definitely.
It should give everyone a little bit of hope.
No, I know we're huge. I know we're huge in Columbus.
Yeah, well, Ross is probably triggered.
Calm down. You're fine. You're a fine football team. All your goals are still in front of you.
Yeah. I'm just not a big Will Howard guy. It all came to a head at the end of the game.
Buckeyes fans are not a big Will Howard guys right now.
Yeah. And then, I want to say this about the conference. Like, what a showcase for the league. Just a couple weeks after the Georgia-Alabama banger, we have Texas and Georgia coming up this weekend. So this will be SEC spotlight time again. Yeah, unless you're, of course, interested in Nebraska and Indiana, their showcase game of the week in the conference. But the Big Ten dominated Saturday. That was the plan when the conference set the things up the way that they did with their TV partners and their times of the day. You had Oregon, Ohio State at night. You had Penn State, USC at 2:30. You had Iowa, Washington in the day. They were all they weren't all good games. They were Iowa and Washington. I watched it.
Right.
I got a little bored at the end of the 11 a.m. slate. I turned on baseball.
They were marquee matchups.
I turned on baseball for a little bit. Well, I kind of did want to see what was going on with Wisconsin and Rutgers too. So I listened to that game for a while. I was mowing the lawn. I decided that it was time to get the mow in about halfway through the 11 a.m. window.
That's it. I've had enough. I'm going to go.
I just thought that was my window. I wasn't mad. I was just thought
And
this is going to be my window.
And you were right.
I was right. I nailed it. Travis writes in.
Hi, Travis.
I think it's even funnier that Kyle McCord won on Saturday with Ohio State losing.
We don't ask this question a lot on this show. What do we think of Syracuse?
What do we think of Syracuse?
They're 5-1.
It's not really a question that I've pondered much this year.
Sure. I understand. It's okay to not feel you're equipped to respond.
Do I have an opinion?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Yeah.
We have a Syracuse Pitt mid-off this weekend. Oh, actually, that's next weekend.
Pitt's on Pumpkin Watch.
Josh, you debuted your Pumpkin Watch, by the way.
I did. Pitt, a lot of teams.
Why was it Indiana on Pumpkin Watch?
Just in case they beat Nebraska, and then I thought they were on Pumpkin. You thought they were on Pumpkin. I said they were on Pumpkin Watch. That's how that conversation would play out.